Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special episode of Service of the Week, where we will be discussing whether SEO has changed as much as we've been thinking. And I have the pleasure of introducing our sterile lineup of speakers. So let me start with Koray. Koray Tuğberk, GÜBÜR, the founder of Holistic SEO and one of the best SEO communities, Holistic SEO, he's the founder. And also beside that, Koray creates excellent SEO courses. I think the best ones available on the market. So if you guys has never heard about this or you're looking to educate yourself on SEO related topics, I highly recommend joining his community. And waiting list, by the way, right? So what is the current waiting list is for 9 months, right?
Yes, actually, we sold the course only for 40 days, I believe, but I guess we sold like 1.2 thousand in 40 days. And we closed the gates and we accepted some more members with just application because they didn't want to wait more. And they were good people. But besides that, we rejected good amount of hundreds of people. And after, probably I will open it again back in my birthday, 21st March, basically. So double.
Okay, guys, so you are now alerted, right? So that when the gate will be opened one more time.
Then we will grow again.
Thank you very much, Koray, for joining us today. So our next guest is Robert Nichal. I'm sorry, Robert.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'm so sorry. Whenever I look at the letters, it's so confusing.
Yeah.
And it's also, I have a bit of a problem just because I started learning Dutch, right? So CH is also not CH in Dutch. It's which is horrible. And I'm so bad with pronouncing this sound, but yeah, it's just I apologize.
Yeah, the thing is, if I would translate the Polish meaning of my surname, it would be even more funny for the crowd. So maybe at the end I can translate it for you what it means.
Okay, I'll try to remind you, right? Because it's a very nice teaser. So I'll keep this in mind. Yeah. Robert, thank you very much for joining us today. So Robert is CTO and partner. Well, here is the question, because I tried to Google how to pronounce your agency. It seems to be Spanish. Is it right?
Is it sort of Latin one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Vestigio, right?
Vestigio, yeah.
Vestigio, because in Spanish it's Vestigio or something like that.
The meaning is footprint or making footprint, making a stamp or something like that from Latin.
Yeah. Latin. Okay. So right, Vestigio agency, and that is the first data science SEO agency. So Robert is obviously into all type of data, analyzing data, and he calls himself an SEO nerd, right?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Ashley Sigurd. Ashley, thank you very much for joining us today. She's a well-known content marketing expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. And Ashley is, very busy right now with launching her new agency, right?
Yes. Yeah, we'll be launching at the end of February.
Okay, guys. So stay tuned, please. Keep following Ashley on LinkedIn, right? So to be the first knowing about the launch of the agency, I'm really looking forward to seeing it live. Okay, and since our today's conversation will be about SEO and whether really SEO has changed as much as we've been believing it, right? I wanted to start with a warm-up question, right? And so that will be about the biggest changes that we've seen in SEO landscape, right? So, Koray, what are the biggest SEO changes that have affected the SEO landscape in recent years, in your opinion, for sure?
So there are many things, and it depends on where we put the definition of the recent years. If we start from 2019, for instance, from Google's point of view, at least, there are big changes in terms of the indexation structure that they are using. Most of the time, before 2019, they were using actually phrase-based indexing most of the time, which means they focus on the co-occurrences to construct different type of indexes. After the BERT language model, they start to focus on more and more to the entities. Then also we start to get the, let's say, the attributes, and around 2020, 21, we start to get the triples, especially in the designs that they have. For instance, when I say design, I mean the patterns. They start to talk about, for instance, restructuring entire index in the form of the triples, which means that for certain type of predicates, it's always certain that what kinds of, let's say, subject and object can come to the both sides. And if they're able to understand the main entity on these web pages, clustering them based on the context gets way much easier. This brings also a downside together with that, because when you actually organize all of the web pages in the form of the triples to retrieve them back, it means that you will be losing lots of minor context, and you won't be able to rank these pages for these minor contexts on these queries that appear. It also means that you will need to have way much more granular indexation structure, which has been announced by the Google as the indexing shards, which means we have an indexing shard in their terminology has been connected to other indexing shards. Shard means just a piece of index, basically, and they make it more and more granular. It also means that whenever we have more queries, more detailed and longer queries, they also construct indexes for all these. It also brings us to the point of actually the passage ranking and passage indexing, which means that they actually focus on only the quality and the relevance of a single passage, and they ignore anything rest or anything beyond that or besides that. The main reason for that is that the passage might be perfect for the specific query, but it might not be perfect at all in terms of overall structure, because when you structure your index for triples, you will be missing lots of different type of contexts, and you won't be able to answer the questions. The only way of answering these queries is focusing on matching the passage to the query, which is a fundamental change, because until now, our structure was like this: phrase to query, query to document. Then we start to have a different structure there: query to question, question to answer, answer to document. And once we have the passages, now we actually don't index the documents, we index the passages directly. Then, of course, after this specific point, we
I'm
start...
sorry, Koray, could you please kind of give an example to better understand, right, the whole idea, if you kind of tell us, okay, yes, just to understand, right, how it works in reality.
Of course. There is actually an announcement from Google's for passage indexing, and they actually promoted a forum website there in their announcement there. And I believe one of the reasons that the Reddit, Quora, and other type of forum websites that increase their coverage on the SERP is, one of the main reasons there is actually this passage ranking as well. Because Reddit or the Quora, you have 90 different passages that try to be matched with the query. In your system or in your web page, if you are a single web document with a single author, in the best option, you have a single answer. So when you look at the situation from 80 answers on a web page from 80 different writers, in your website, you have just one writer, one page, one answer. So Reddit gets a kind of natural advantage there because they have 80 different chances to be matched with the query. And when it comes to the page ranking, let's say this is a web page and you target a query from your title tag, you put an entity, let's say Jennifer Lopez, before, after, from a specific movie, let's assume. This is a celebrity query, which means that your internal links will be connected to other types of celebrities as much as possible. And in this case, once you have this internal structure between the celebrities, some of the queries won't be related directly to their before-after state, or before-after might signal something else. It might be the weight, age, or basically old Jennifer, young Jennifer, or I don't know, the sporty Jennifer or skinny Jennifer. I don't know her that much, to be honest. Or there might be other type of features on that. And if one of the paragraphs is matching with this context and search engine process the query in that way, it will be matching this specific subpart of the, let's say, the document to the query directly. The main advantage here is if you have a more granular content, rather than indexing the document directly, they actually index every passage differently for different query contexts. and different versions of the query. The advantage of the Reddit, it happens naturally. Of course, they have lately another advantage, which brings us to do another change in the SEO. Reddit has most of the time human writers for humans, which means it's a discussion and it's more safe for the search engines. Even if it doesn't sound that professional, as a search engine engineer, imagine that you are not able to fight against the spam from AI and you just say, let's rank the forums. It's very easy to do, but it is happening.
Yeah, I think also, they are all representing real entities, right? So circling back to, your previous idea of...
It's definitely one of them. There might be one more advantage. The bird, once it is trained on Wikipedia, actually. Colossal 4 was the data set. It is named, and basically Colossal 4 is a data set that consists of just Wikipedia text. And that's why when you actually implement the Wikipedia writing rules, search engine was able to get you easier because you communicate from their language model. Then we started to have long-form question answering language models after 2021 and 2022. And they trained these models based on LE5 subreddit. LE5 means explain it to me like I am 5. And they ask very, very advanced questions, and Reddit users answering it in a very simple ways, like you are 5 years old, basically. The main issue here is that the 5 questions are too long. And search engines usually, or previously, they were not able to understand or process very long questions. And I believe they work on these structures a little bit through the Reddit to give the naturality or natural language in a more natural sense via the, let's say, Reddit users and subreddits. And I believe it is one of the advantages for them too. And of course, this brings us to the one last point. I actually explained this in Budapest speech, which was done by White Press as here. And basically, I say that the situation is like this on the search engine result page now. You might be having PhD about blue light. Still, a Reddit user like Random Guy 1717 can actually outrank you with their answer just based on a Reddit post. And basically, it is like expert versus a little bit perspective. And this perspective structure brought me to the situation that I started to use safe answers, which means I give an answer like an expert, then I also include specific type of, let's say, some personal perspectives or the experiences, which again, I believe one of the major changes in SEO. And the other things, I wouldn't call them like change, but they are just reminders, like brand search demand. If you are not a brand, since creating websites is very easy now, like in 2 months, we can post like maybe 3 million posts now, and until search engine catch us, we can continue to rank. And in this type of situations, they can actually start to favor older websites with constant brand search demand, which signals actually a real world business. And they can also check whether there are real people behind the business, which is one of the questions actually in the quality rater guidelines too. And later they started to add more things with the forums to their structured data, SERP features like discussions and forums. And even in the quality rater guidelines, they have some sections for Reddits. For instance, again, they say that if there is a Reddit thread without any comment, any answer, wait a little longer. If they said it doesn't have any comment for a year, it's not quality. But if it doesn't have any comment for 3 days, it can't be called like, let's say, less quality. This brings me a situation because in one of my case studies, I have written it with the name of the holistic SEO case study. Website was njazib.com. I was using actually subreddit in 2021, and I was using the, let's say, teammates in the company to answer the founder in the Reddit to give that, let's say, crowdsourcing or real world business signals as much as possible. And we also opened a Quora profile, for instance, for the founder to make the person as an expert. And for that, every day, one of the teammates was asking a question to the founder was answering it. Right now, we are doing it even with AI, to be honest. If you check my Quora profile, you will see that I'm getting like 10,000 impressions a month, all of the answers that exist in my profile.
That is very interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, very fascinating, right?
Thanks. It's good that you actually stopped me from completing that sentence, but you can check
yeah, I'm sorry. That
no, it's good. It's better in that way. I won't complete
Yeah.
that sentence. But basically, when people check it, they will see what I mean.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sharing, Koray, your perspective. That was very interesting, and especially giving, some real, example that kind of added some additional context, which is very important, right? In terms of understanding some terms and connecting the dots. So I wanted to ask you, Ashley, what are the biggest changes that happened, right, in the current SEO landscape, in your opinion?
Yep, from a content perspective, it's been really interesting to see with all the updates last year, especially with the helpful content update and EEAT really coming through. It's really shift from this format. We work with a lot of different bloggers and e-commerce brands who will format all of their content with like this specific structure. And that's how they create mass-produced content. And then the helpful content update came out, and a lot of bloggers that we work with got hit by it because it's the same exact format and not actually the body of the content actually satisfying the query. And so seeing that as like a repeated issue was shocking to so many brands that we work with, because they have the amount of content, they think they're addressing their question, but really it seems like these updates are Google's way of going back to really traditional marketing. And that's understanding who your user is and what it is that they're actually asking. And so if you have great persona demographics, and if you really know who your audience is, you understand when they do a long-term query exactly what they want to know out of that, and whether they need that to be 5,000 words to explain or 50 words just to get to the point of the answer, versus this traditional format of always, well, we need to have really long form content, we need to optimize that long form content and have this regular publishing schedule. And the helpful content update kind of really came through and shook that up.
Yeah, I think, the question about long form content is kind of, we are kind of changing our perspective, and we are changing how we've been looking at this, right, for quite some long time. When it comes, it was like, the longer the better, and kind of trying to put like all possible topics inside it. And, whenever, the content piece might be about B2B content marketing, but you start with what is content marketing, right? And so on. So, I think that is, from a user perspective, right, that is a great shift. And I think it's just going to solve a lot of problems, right? But from a content marketer, right, side of things, that is, quite upsetting, just because you need to rewrite, right, your content, and need to, look at things from a completely different direction. What about you, Robert? What do you think are the biggest changes that happened?
So I'm trying not to think about single changes, biggest changes, smallest changes. I'm trying to think about it as some sort of journey for Google, journey for us as a users, a journey as a humanity. And the thing is that Google faced the problem of AI, mass production of content, and it started like 2 years ago. And let me back 2 years ago to 2021, 2023, 2022, actually. And the thing is that the marketers, SEO specialists, experts are pushing so much content to internet, which is fucking tempting. It's sexy stuff, and Google faces this huge problem. And because of it, they implement algorithms like helpful content update, net core update, whatever, and everything is trying to, let's say, bringing better results in the world of content inflation and too much content in internet. And because of it, Google also tried to cluster the whole internet and only search through smaller graphs. And it's the reason why we see a lot of Reddit right now and Medium.com linked in results. SEO specialists name it as a parasite SEO, and it's because of this algorithm we see results like this. And in my opinion, as from journey perspective, this helpful content updates are most important and will be even more important in following years, because AI models are better each day, and people will push more content to internet. So maybe it's a good point to think about this specific algorithms, and ask Koray to explain us, as we are 5, how they work actually. In my opinion, they are most important, and they will invade the industry this year, next year, and only based of the latest algorithms from the last year, they annihilated the visibilities of so many business around the globe. So yeah, for me, this content algorithms are most important one. Of course, all passage indexing stuff, but at the end of the journey, Google want to bring the best result they can, but they have a problem with AI and conflict now, and it's the most important stuff right now during the whole journey and looking to the future.
Yeah, that is very easy. Does it mean that at the end of the day we will see less diversification in search results?
Yeah,
Just because if right, you know,
the thing is, if Google won't fight with it or know how to even retrieve the content, proceed the content and stuff, they're paying money to doing it. And we are pushing the AI content for them and they need to spend money on it. So at the end of the day, they can realize, okay, so let's go only for biggest marketplaces, biggest news outlet, biggest site, and we don't need the other one. Yeah, and it's the case right now. As Koray always state, even about microsemantics, semantics stuff, the thing is to make our website and structure cheaper for Google to proceed, because they face the problem that I mentioned right now, yeah, about inflation of content and stuff.
Yeah. But does it mean, like, you know, if, right, you are a real expert, right, and you're just, you know, you want to start your website, really writing something meaningful there, then in a few years, your website won't be even indexed, just because you don't really have enough authority, right? So you have to actually start your website somewhere else, like either on Reddit or on Medium. So basically the idea of creating personal website will be no longer valid.
You know,
what do you think?
It's harder each day, every day, and tomorrow it will be harder than today. So yeah, it's good to start right now, and in a few years, maybe it won't be even possible to rank for the highest keywords because of the market saturation. But still, it's doable right now. And as from changes and Google perspective, for sure we need to think about it, and it's most important thing. Not single changes, because tomorrow it will be next algorithm, next update. But it's better to think about the whole journey.
Yeah, but it's sad just because, you know, it's just, you know, people that kind of can share something truly meaningful, right? They kind of, you know, in a few years, they won't be able to do that, right? We can't really find their content and we end up with reading Wikipedia, you know, Medium and whatever it is, which is not really a kind of, you know, the best of the best content, if you know what I mean, right? But I understand, right?
I think that the future is quite easy to imagine because of the search generative experience, which we expect this year. And if they introduce it to Google, Google will answer the question directly in Google. So ask yourself the question, what's about our website? And next website about pancakes. Nobody needed it, yeah?
Yeah, okay. But what should we expect actually to see in 2024, right? What are you anticipating in seeing, right?
Yeah, it kind of echoes a little bit of what you were both just talking about, trying to get your content discovered, regardless of the algorithm updates or how that's changing. And that really comes down to building a true following. And that comes down to brand awareness, which is still so essential to support your content being found. So if you're struggling to rank your content, but you're able to build your following through social, through email marketing, you're still going to get traffic to your website. You're still going to be able to build that following and have that continuous connection. And so I see and have been seeing a lot of brands really focusing on defining who their brand is, who they want to connect with, and who they want traffic from the most, and focusing on actually creating true connections with them, speaking their actual language, not just in terms of natural language, but actually speaking that persona language, and then creating content that allows them to go through a journey with the brand versus you have a question, here's an answer, you'll never come back to us again.
Yeah, I understand that. SEO, you know, in that way might look a bit transactional, right? If kind of you create, right, on the pages in order to answer specific queries, right? And you don't really think about what's next. Koray, what do you expect to see in 2024? So basically this year.
So there are many things actually from Google's point of view. The first thing is that search generative experience, it will be more and more common for the, let's say, larger amount of the users. But in my guess, it won't be changing most of the user behaviors in the long term that heavily, because in Microsoft Bing, actually, we already saw that chatbot is active, and I didn't see any kinds of click or impression or website performance change, to be honest, in Microsoft Bing related websites. They still get pretty much the same clicks and impressions. And other change that I expect there is, right now, the entry cost in the SEO is very low. As a single person, you can actually generate lots of content, you can use unique images, and to be honest, you can even actually imitate a real doctor thanks to the deep face. Even if you are not, you can create any fake identity. And I believe it's very dangerous, to be honest, lately. In fact, even in Turkey, someone imitated the President Erdogan's voice to scam some business people, and he was successful to do that. So AI started.
Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah, AI started to become dangerous
A
and
threat, right, for businesses.
Yeah, and
so there will be more regulations, most probably.
More regulations, and I believe this search engine will need to adapt the reality, and they will need to look for even more and more real world business proofs, not just the address, not just the, let's say, a specific domain that you can use, but probably they will be trying to see actually really you are a real business from multiple other type of profiles. It also brings me to the situation that optimization for the web entity rather than the website. The web entity is the collection of actually all of your social media accounts, all of your founders' stuff. And I even have seen it a few times. LinkedIn was directly ranking on people also ask questions for companies as just simple answers, like for staff count, for instance. If you are paying to the 100 people regularly, and if you're able to prove that, it's very hard to tell that actually this is not a real business. So I believe the brandship will be increasing its prominence a lot, and it might also cause the page rank and the links also to increase their weight on the algorithm further too. But when I say links, I don't mean like link velocity, like phantom links or quick links, like constantly coming links in a, let's say, mixed nature profile. And the entry cost, since it is very low, we will see that web is bloated without any added value. Because of that, I believe the quality thresholds will be increased further and further, and search engines, they will be rejecting lots of new websites compared to the before, and proving your overall quality will be up to your talents in macro semantics, micro semantics, your page rank, together with your brand identity.
Yeah, I guess, it just all comes down to the cost that are associated with crawling the web, right? The more websites we have, the more pages we have, the
And
more
also,
basically money, right? Google needs to invest into
and
going through everything.
We usually just focus on actually crawling and indexing, but there are also other phases that they don't explain in the Google system, like evaluating that text, HTML,
evaluating, right? Giving scoring, which is also, requires extra servers and machines.
Definitely. Sometimes I use some language models from Hugging Face, and even if my CPU is strong enough, it's not good enough. And when I just imagine the cost that they have actually for processing all these things, and I know that they are not using every algorithm or every technology for every website too. You will need to deserve that cost by proving yourself there. And it's very hard to do actually for many hasty SEOs. And that's why I believe one of the big changes is in the coming years, and by starting from this year, I believe more detail-oriented, engineer-minded, and data-focused SEOs, they will be more and more active in the field, while more editorial people, or let's say, let's create a website, link it, and add the affiliate links there. This type of an approach and mindset will be fading away, I believe. By starting from this year, it will be more obvious.
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense, Koray. Thank you very much for sharing this. And just to wrap this up, guys, what will be your number one tip or recommendation, right, for the ones that are trying to build up organic traffic? So, Robert, let's start from you.
So let's starting from 2024 prediction and a tip. I truly believe that the user signals and signals that the user gave to our website will be much more important than in previous years. Of course, the page wrangling, building stuff. Of course, we will need to vote our website somehow and put to the graph. But the signals, I expect they will be much more important. So jumping from the signals, look for it even from the how to say the simplest keyword. If you are, for example, e-commerce with something, look for all possible attributes, filters, details, keywords with no high volume of search, without a high search demand for it, but easy to rank, and it will be easy to collect the signals and further next signals, and at the end of the day, the signal will rank your website. So in general, look for easy keywords, cover your niche as much as possible. Look for attributes, filters, and all possible keywords you can cover, and gain the signals, and for sure it will work for you. Don't be afraid of AI content, for sure, but please go for human assisted AI content. I did it for a few cases even this year, and it works very good and brings the signals. But at the end of the day, please remember about the users, because users equal signals, signals equal ranking, ranking equal money, and once again, it's the name of the game for me, for sure.
Thank you very much, Robert, for sharing this. It's really making a lot of sense. Koray, I believe I have to be back to you. Just because we have a question to you, right, from Michaela. Could you please, I had to step. So basically, you mentioned that something would be fading away, right? And she's asking, right, about this part.
When I say fading away, I mean the mindset in the SEO for. Let me explain like this. When I actually deep dive into the patterns and explain these things like a search engine engineer, people usually tell me that it can't be that hard. But the main thing is that when there are more people who create more websites and all of them have more pages, if you are a search engine engineer, eventually you need to choose something. And to be able to choose the wise one, you need to create a system that is able to actually differentiate these things based on teeny tiny details. And I believe by starting from this year, the old mindset in the SEO, like let's create a simple WordPress website and then let's link it and it will rank. Then let's add all the affiliate links, all the products, and let's sell whatever we can do there. And I believe that this simple mindset will be leaving itself, or it will be replaced by a little bit more, let's say, let's create a real business and let's create an e-commerce. AI also will force you to do this. Because whenever Google looks for more real businesses on the SERP, you will eventually need to actually turn your mindset from affiliate to the e-commerce more and more. And I believe that engineer-minded, data-oriented SEOs, they will be more mainstream in the industry, and editorial mindsets or people who underestimate the details in the SEO field, I believe they will be fading away and they will be changing their disciplines. I believe many of them, I believe they will go for PPC or different ways of affiliate from different channels too. And also to be able to use AI in a proper way, again, you will need engineering, to be honest. It doesn't change. I published one website in my Saigon speech, actually. Then I explained more details in Budapest. And I didn't publish that case study in 2021. Because I knew that most people wouldn't believe it. Second thing is Google will check every website in my search console. And they penalty anyway, too. But basically, to be able to create that system, we use lots of different servers. We use different language models. We contact the WordTune API owners or owners of the WordTune. So there are lots of steps there. And many SEOs, they will never do that. They just want to click this, create the article, publish it, and expect it to the rank. But other probably 200,000 people is doing the same thing by using the same language model. So why you are thinking that actually Google will choose yours? Because your quality is very similar to what they say. All the text sequences, word sequences are very similar. There isn't any of the unique images there. So I believe real people with engineering mindset and real businesses who can afford proper developers, designers, and let's say human assistants, they will be winning in the long term, and it requires to change in the mindset. Basically, it was the thing that I was telling.
I agree.
Thank you very much, Koray. Thank you very much, Koray. But I just wonder, I have, maybe a random kind of question, right, related to this. What does it mean that SEO is just becoming more like a marketing discipline? Because you are kind of not really, right? It's just not about kind of building up this traffic.
Definitely. It's one of the reasons that actually I defend the definition of SEO occupation, like SEO product owner or SEO vice president. And I believe that SEO is a culture that should exist in every teammate in the company. It's not like one person job, to be honest. It's a culture for entire company to represent your digital identity in any kinds of organic search channel and possible journey point. And because of that, I believe SEO is one of the, let's say, most permanent and long-term branding ways by providing value. And that's why I believe it is there are lots of overlap between SEO and inbound marketing as well. So that's why I believe SEO is a way of branding via organic channels. And that's why I also believe that I consider also SEOs as business developers or business, let's say, growth experts. Because as an expert in the field, in the 8 years, to be honest, I even don't know how many companies I work with, lots of companies, but I am one of the, let's say, people out there who can work with both of the competitors. I know both of them, which means they don't know each other, but I know both of them from inside, internally, and I know which one is doing right, which one is doing wrong. And it gives SEOs a chance of actually being business expert, not just like website optimizers. And I believe we should also respect SEO and our own occupations more to extend its responsibility further too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. It's just it's way beyond just organic traffic. Just because the right SEO is building up a web footprint of your website, which proves that the real existence of your business. I agree. Ashley, what do you think? Right, what will be your best tip, right, for our listeners?
Yeah, it was touched on a little bit, but not using AI for all of your writing. AI is great to give a strategy to give an outline, or even to use to create a strategy and make sure that you're not missing any of the pieces, and to have kind of as a co-worker standpoint where you can bounce ideas back and forth and make sure that you're kind of staying in line and going on the correct path that you want to with your SEO and content goals. But this mass production of using AI to write all of your content, I see it constantly on LinkedIn. Someone posts another post about, oh, I'm using AI to create 300 emails. And it's like, that is not going to work. That is not going to resonate with your users. It's not going to resonate with Google. It's like the old days of link building when we just sent out tons and tons of links and then years later it became spammy. So I would be really, really cautious with this big shift of using AI to produce all of your content and actually write all of your content, and not going through and actually copy editing and not having the real thought process behind there, and not making sure that it's truly optimized, just letting AI do all of the work and then you going to publish. That's definitely a big thing that I'm highly recommending against doing this year.
Thank you very much, Ashley. I totally agree with you. I think even though AI is a great tool, right, I don't really think it's the right tool to one more time to bring the right angle of expertise, right, to your content, even though it can be used, right, as a helper and a great starting point. I still feel that it's not really enough, right, in order to create truly meaningful content that will be resonating well with the audience. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. It was a pure pleasure hosting your panel. Thank you very much for being with us. Where can people connect with you? What will be the right channel? So let's start with Robert.
So I'm active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and I'm starting building my profile on X, Twitter. So you can find me there, and yeah, but yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Koray?
I am actually active on all of the social media channels. We have also community channels, and I would suggest people to contact with the thought leaders in the community rather than me, to be honest. I am not able to check my DMs or answer them, but maybe I can create a GBT for that in the future. But of course, it won't be like the real answers.
Won't be a real Koray, right?
Yes, we can handle a Koray bot for in the future. So, but if they join to our community, of course, we will be very happy to have them here.
Thank you very much, Koray. What about you, Ashley? What is the best way to connect with you?
LinkedIn's definitely the best way.
Cool. So one more time, thank you very much for joining me today. It was a pure pleasure having a conversation about all things, well, obviously around SEO and even beyond SEO. So thank you very much, guys, for sharing your thoughts, your perspective, and your wisdom with our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.